Hey guys, so I said I was going to make a video on doing the transmission service on this Blazer, and so I am. There's some of the stuff you're going to need to do it yourself. Some people don't do it this way, but this is really the professional way to do it. I don't have one of those big high fancy machines, but I do have a pump, and what you have to do is you have to take the hose out of the I put my hand down there so you can see it. Take the hose out of the radiator right here, and the metal part of the hose is the induction, so you're going to want the pump hose going on this side, and then the connection that goes into the radiator is going to be the exhaust or the outlet. Okay, and you're just going to need one of these fittings right here, which is the same size as the metal line from the transmission that goes into the radiator for the cooling. And you just plug this in, put the clip back in there in the transmission. Right here is a little clip. Well, let's see, show you one of these stupid things. You just put this back in there and connect your hose to the inlet side for the transmission. And then I like to use this Valvoline Max Life full synthetic. It doesn't have the high detergents in it, so you're going to want to do transmission flushing this thing every 15,000 miles. But this seems to be a really good transmission fluid. This thing's probably got maybe 50,000 miles on the transmission. Of course, the engine's brand new, so it's got right around 10,000 miles on it right now. Still runs great. I did have to replace the Spider injector assembly. This is the injecting system, and it goes under the plenum. I had to put a new one of those in there because it was causing problems and missing out and stuff. So I didn't replace it whenever I rebuilt the engine. I was hoping to get a lot more miles out of it. I got 10,000 more miles out of it. So hey, that's a whole year of travel. So okay, so that's really all we got. You'll need two 5-gallon buckets, one for the old fluid, one for the new fluid. I put 12 quarts of transmission fluid in this thing. And what I will do is I'll start this thing up and I'll let it pump out about 3 or so 4 quarts of transmission fluid. Then I'll turn the pump on and I'll continue pumping transmission fluid through this thing until it gets clear. And you know, you can tell what's clear just by looking at it to see it's good clean transmission fluid. And basically that's really all there is to it. I usually buy 14 quarts of transmission fluid because I still have to drop the pan, I have to replace the filter, and generally, you know, I have to add a little bit of transmission fluid to it when I do that. So that's where I'm at. I'm in the process right now of doing the flush. After I do the flush, I'll drop the pan, I'll save the fluid, and I'll put the fluid back in it. But I'll make sure I have a really clean pan to catch it in, and then I'll put the new filter in there, and then I'll re-put the fluid that I saved back in the transmission, and this thing will be good for another 15,000 miles. So it's a little bit over right now. I went over with this thing. I don't like to go over because the higher mileage transmission fluids don't have as much detergent in them, so you're going to need to clean it more because you can cause sediment problems in your valve body if you don't do that. So alright guys, so I'll make another video here in a few minutes. I'll get this thing rolling. Peace out. Okay guys, so the flush is done on this thing. It doesn't take very long. As you can see, this is the old fluid right here, and you'll be able to see the new fluid. I mean, you'll be able to tell that the new fluid is really clean when you run that 12 quarts through there. You can see that's probably a little bit dirty. That's the old transmission fluid. That's the new transmission fluid, and again, you'll be able to see that it's really clear. And now all I have to do is drain the fluid out of the pan, because the fluid in the torque converter and everything in the valve body's all been flushed out. So all I have to do now is drain the pan, drop the pan, put the new filter and gasket on there, put it back in place, put the transmission fluid that I drained out of the pan back in the transmission, and it's good to go. So it's really all there is to it. You can see the gist of this. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. This battery, I mean the pump just works on these battery clips, or I mean these alligator clips. I just clip the alligator clips to the battery, and you know, it turns the pump on, and then it just sucks all the new fluid out of that 5-gallon bucket and puts it right into the transmission. It's the easiest way to do it. You can get these pumps for, you know, I got these pumps for $10 a piece at a garage sale. I bought 2 of them. But so that's all there is to it, really, guys. I mean, then you just get underneath there and drop the pan, drain the fluid out of the pan, and put the filter on, put it back together, put the fluid in it, and you're good for another 15,000 miles. And I guess that's all I got for this video, man. There is a tool. I guess I showed you the tool. There's well, I guess I showed you that on the last video. The part that plugs in here, it's just the same fitting as plugs into the transmission, from the transmission, the same size. It just plugs in, and you put the clip back in and put the hose on it, and you're good to go, man. All right, guys, that's all I got. So just a simple transmission service. All right, we'll talk to you later. Peace. I'm out. Okay, guys, so as you can see right here, the fluid in this thing is really clean. I just pulled the pan off this thing. There's absolutely no metal shavings in there at all, not even on the magnet. The magnet's clean even. I can't see this because of the sunlight, but there's not even any shavings on the magnet. So this thing is really in good shape. I may even use this same gasket because it's stuck on there. I may just clean it and put it back on there like that. It's not smashed or anything, but so all I have to do left to do is pull the filter off of it, which is right here. I prefer Wix filters. Where's the thing at right here? I prefer Wix. I ask for it by name, and then put it back on there. Put the pan back up there and bolt it back in place, and she's good to go. And anybody that tells you that you don't need to change the filter when you do a transmission flush, well, they're full of shit. Now, some vehicles, it's true. Like Toyota, they don't have a paper filter. But any transmission that has a paper filter, you do a transmission service on that thing, and you must replace the filter because all of that debris and everything goes right into that filter. And Toyotas use a metal screen, so they don't have a paper filter like that. But if you don't replace that filter, you're standing a good chance that you're going to cause problems with your transmission. So I'm really pleased with the way this transmission flush went. It's really clean. As you can see, this is of course after the flush, and I've already done the flush. That's why this transmission fluid looks so clean. But there's absolutely, now look at me shake. There's absolutely no debris, shavings, you know, that dark filth that gets that. What's the word? Graphite. That graphite that gets in the bottom of the pan. Absolutely none. So. Real happy with it. All I gotta do is put the filter on it, put it back together, and Mama's good to go for another 15,000 miles, about 18 months. All right, guys, that's all I got. Have a great day. Peace, and I'm out. Okay, guys, one more thing on this transmission service. Whenever you're pouring the old fluid back in here, see if I can show you this. There might be some little pieces of whatever that might have gotten in there while I was sitting there. You can see a little bit of debris floating around. There's a piece of the oak tree right there. A little bit of debris in there in the bottom. What I do is use one of these paint filters, and then pour the transmission fluid, the stuff that I recovered, back through this filter, and then put the lid on it. And then whenever I'm ready to put the transmission in, it's good to go. I went ahead and painted the pan, got it all prettied up, ready to go back on there. And that's it. That's all I had to say. Just wanted to make sure that you don't pour debris back into your transmission after you just did a brand new service on it. So, all right, guys, that's all I got. Peace, and we'll talk to y'all later. I'm out. Okay, guys, so it's back together and running. Works great. It took almost 15 quarts of transmission fluid to fill this thing back up. If you're wondering how many it would take to do a vehicle like this one, it took almost 15 quarts. So. Here it is, running good. Good to go. All right, everybody have a great one. I'm out of here.